And we are back with some more Calgary Flames franchise mode in FHM 9. And in this one, we have the Year 7 playoffs with your Calgary Flames as we look to three-peats. So after our past two successful runs, I am expecting more or less the same. Obviously, we did not have the greatest regular season this year. Just barely squeaked into the playoffs, as we see by the wild card. Yeah, if we got 2 less points, if we got 1 less win, we would not have made the playoffs this year, but thankfully we did. Luckily, we are going into the playoffs with a completely healthy roster, no one on the injury list. That being said, let's get on to game number 1 against the Winnipeg Jets, who are 47, 29, and 6 during the regular season. Looks like a pretty solid roster. You got Paulson at wing, Person at center, Cam in goal. So yeah, here we go. Game 1 against the Winnipeg Jets will be a 5-4 Winnipeg victory. Shots are 43-42 in favor of your Calgary Flames. 3 stars of the game: Johansson, Elfring, and Spence. Elfring with a hat trick. The first period, Doug Elfring with a goal from Antonovsky and Glockner gets us on the board. In the second period, you have Brendan Brisson from Shane Wright, gets us up 2-0. But then Paulson and Spence score back-to-back for Winnipeg to make it 2-2. Going into the third period, where Paulson scores for Winnipeg to make it 3-2. Then Doug Elfring from Byram and Bernier. And then Coots for Winnipeg gives them the 4-3 lead. And then Doug Elfring in the final minute of the third period with the goal for the hat trick from Shane Wright and Brendan Brisson. But then in overtime, Kyle Mann with the goal to get Winnipeg up 1-0 in the series. All right, here we go. Game number 2 against Winnipeg. It'll be a 4-2 Winnipeg victory. Oh boy. Shots at 37 apiece. 3 stars of the game: Havlik, Pegamagabo, and Pierce. First period, you have Villanueva scoring for the Winnipeg Jets. Isn't he a former player of ours? Yeah, he's a former player of ours there. As recently as the 2031-32 season. I thought I recognized that name. Then you have Alex Pegamagabo from Glockner and Grieve to make it 1-1. But then Philip Person scores for Winnipeg to put them back on top. Second period, you have Villanueva again scoring against his old team twice. Give Winnipeg a 3-1 lead. But then Brisson scores from Wright and Pegamagabo to cut the deficit to 1. And in the third period, you have Malcolm Spence for Winnipeg, giving them the 4-2 victory and the 2-0 series lead. I mean, I know we're not as good as a team as we were last year in terms of our regular season record, but you know, let's not get outed in the first round here, especially after 2 Stanley Cups in a row. That would not be ideal. Game number 3 will be a 3-2 Winnipeg victory. Oh man. Yeah, not looking good. Shots at 32-31 in favor of your Calgary Flames. 3 stars of the game: Person, Sheets, and Kivi Haryu. First period, you have Fortman scoring from Sheets and Byram to give us a 1-0 lead. Then Person on the power play for Winnipeg gets it tied at 1. Skylar Grieve 20 seconds after from Sheets and Glockner makes it 2-1. But then in the second period, you have Malcolm Spence and Philip Person back-to-back to give them the 3-2 victory, as there was no scoring in the third. Yeah, that is unfortunate. We're kind of in a hole here. Hey, coach, you want to do something? Switch up the lines a bit? All right, we'll see if this works. Coronado on the first line now. I think Wright was moved from the second to the third. But yeah, for the most part, not looking good here. Here we go. Elimination game number 4 against the Winnipeg Jets. Can we hold on for one more game? Come on, Calgary. Oh my goodness. Alexei Antonovsky, major injury. Oh no. Yeah, that just reduced our chances quite significantly. All right, Braden Creech with the goal from Elfring and Mooney. They got a goal earlier from Coots. So we're currently tied at 1 heading into the second period. Come on, Calgary. Not optimistic here, but you know, we'll take it game by game. There's another one for Winnipeg, Malcolm Spence. And as we head into the third period, we are down by 1. Come on, Calgary. Don't get swept at the very least. All right, Jason Sheets from Wright and Elfring. Come on, Calgary. Oh man, Kyle Mann. Yeah, not looking good. I mean, we're only down by 1, but yeah, there it is. Hayden Harsani with the goal for Winnipeg to put them up by 2 with 2 minutes remaining. And that is all she wrote, with Cole Perfetti with the dagger at the end to put it away. Oh man, 5-2 loss to Winnipeg and a sweep in the first round for the Calgary Flames. Oh boy, that's yeah, was not expecting that. I mean, obviously, I knew given our record that we weren't as good this year as we were last year or the year before, but man, I was not expecting to get swept in the first round. I'm pretty sure we outshot them in every game, in fact. Like this game, for example, 34 shots to 24 in favor of Calgary Flames. But as we go back to look at all these past games here, we outshot them here. I mean, just barely, but we did. 32 to 31. This game here, shots were even at 37 apiece, so we got plenty of shots. And then in game number 1, we outshot them once again only by 1, but still, we had 43 shots on net. So it's certainly not for a lack of being able to get shots on net. That appears to still be a strength of ours, if that series is anything to go by. But I gotta say, Debut in particular was not good this series. 880 save percentage in 4 games played. Not his finest work there. I mean, obviously he's still a pretty good goaltender. Like that's easily his worst performance to date. And he's been good every other year, so it's not like you could say that this is a recurring theme. This is literally the first time this has happened in his career, that he's performed this badly, particularly in the playoffs, but even during the regular season, you know, he's at the very least average or even above average. But this year, for some reason, he was just not there. Debut just definitely had an off year this year. I'm not going to say the sole reason we lost, but it's definitely a big part of it. Elfring did his job, 5 points in 4 games played. He had right with 4 assists, Brisson with 3 points, Grieve with 2, Pegamagabo with 2. Yeah, really not a whole lot of scoring here, obviously. Breach with 1, Antolovsky with 1, Fortman with 1, everyone else with 0. Coronado with 0 points. But the fact does remain that he is our second oldest forward at 33 years of age, followed by Brisson, who is 34. At some point, we're going to have to move on from these guys up here, like Brisson, Coronado, Wright, and Petal, and that point is probably coming soon. I mean, I know Coronado has an extension, and I'll gladly keep him for at least 1 more year, I'm going to say. But we do need to get younger here in Calgary. That's pretty clear. I mean, even our defensive core, Byram's 34, Mukamadoulin's 34, Muse is 30, Bernier is 29. We're not getting any younger, that's for sure. So we do need to start bringing in some younger pieces here. And as shaky as Debut was this season, I do want to give him another chance. He's proven in most other years that he can be a pretty solid goaltender. So definitely do not want to write him off just yet. And especially after those performances that he gave us the past 2 years where he put up like 925, 923. That obviously won us the Stanley Cup. So I'm not about to just go and throw him to the curb just like that, but definitely want to see more of him next year. But as far as skaters go, once again, I think we need to start building up our young core again. I mean, we have several young players in place, like Antolovsky's 22, Grieve, Igumenov, Creech, Glockner, they're all 22 or younger. But then you also have several players who are now past their prime, such as Muse. You know, Muse is starting to get to that point where he might start dropping at any point now. Petal, Wright, Coronado, Mukamadulin, Brisson, Byram, they will all have to be moved sooner rather than later, I'm going to say. And here's the thing, I don't want to just sit idly this offseason and just hope for another good run with this team, because like I said, we are starting to get to that point where we're going to have to start turning over our roster a little bit in order to stay competitive. Definitely a lot of big decisions to make over this offseason, that is for sure. All right, so we are on July 1st now, and the situation with Alexei Bernier is really worrying me. He's got issues with a lot of our players, including Doug Elfring, and at the moment, I'm hoping this will change during the regular season, but as of right now, Doug Elfring does not want to renew his contract. Oh man, so this is going to be pretty interesting to see how this turns out. And let's see, is there anyone else I want to sign? Tyler Petal, 8.3 for 3 years, no thanks. You're not getting that. I might have to trade him too. Because honestly, I'm thinking of trading Bernier. If this gets too much more out of hand, which it's already, like the team harmony is literally already 0, then we might have to consider trading Bernier, unfortunately. Like as big of a part of the team that he's been, I want Elfring to re-sign. And if the fact that he is not willing to re-sign right now is due to the team harmony issue between him and Bernier, then Bernier's got to get out of here. And not to mention all the other guys that Bernier's got issues with. Meehan, Mooney, Wright, Glockner, and then of course Elfring. And then Skylar Grieve and Jason Sheets are beefing a little too. So I don't know what happened in June, I guess it was, that this team started having all kinds of team harmony issues. But maybe it was the fact that we got swept in the first round. Maybe everyone's just mad, feeling the pressure. But I'm very nervous about the fact that the harmony is down to 0. And I don't think that's going to recover in time for the regular season, honestly. with it being that broken. We might have to trade some guys at the draft. And now that I think about it, how much does Bernier want anyway? He doesn't even want to renew anyway. And I would much rather get Elfring signed sooner rather than later. And if I can do that by trading away Alexei Bernier, then that might be the way to go, honestly. However, in anticipation of needing to trade Alexei Bernier, there is one guy I'm looking at in free agency who actually does have good chemistry with Doug Elfring, and we've never actually had this guy before. I'm assuming that they played on Team Canada together. Emile Jacques. He's currently a free agent, age 26. He was a great age, and 4-star ability. Potential doesn't matter much anymore considering he's 26, but great offensively and great at hitting. What really stands out about him, we take a look at his expanded stats. Hits 235 this past season with Florida. So he is not only very good offensively, but very good physically as well. As long as he's asking for a reasonable amount of money, this should be well worth it. And yeah, he's got good line chemistry with Doug Elfring. I mean, even though, Elfring's a forward, Jacques' a defenseman, but still, I figured it can't hurt to get someone who Elfring is familiar with on the team and maybe persuade him to stay. And yeah, it seems they were teammates on Team Canada, so that's where they get the line chemistry from, because I don't believe we've ever had him before. No, we haven't. He wasn't on Western Michigan, and he hasn't been with the Calgary Flames, so that's definitely where it's from. But I want to see if I can sign him here. So what is he asking for? 6.8? I'd do that for a defenseman his caliber. Absolutely. In fact, I'll go 7.25, I think. Now, given our situation last year with goaltending, I do want to find a backup goaltender that could potentially give Debut a run for his money. Not necessarily to push him out of the job, but just, give him a little push and let him know that, if he starts faltering like he did last season, then there's going to be someone who is right there to be able to take his job. And no, it's not Gabriel Day. Gabriel Day is in free agency, but he's not the guy I'm looking at. I am looking at, where is he? Tyler Harris. He's only 2.5-star talent, 26 years of age. Although, now that I look at his personality, I didn't notice this before. Apparently, his personality says he tends to disappear when the game's on the line. So that's actually a bit off-putting. I did not see that before when I was getting him out. Orenberg can be counted on to avoid dwelling on his failures. Doesn't let criticism get him down. Scores very high on IQ tests. I like the sound of that. Yeah, he's very, very good mentally. He's a 3-star ability, so I imagine he might cost some money to sign. He didn't have a great season last year as Edmonton's starting goaltender. But let's just see how much he wants anyway. 7 point. Yeah, no, not not for a goaltender who's going to be like a 1B situation. I like him for sure for his, mental attributes and his personality, but it's a little too much for the role that I'm looking for. Man, I don't know what happened to my lay. He had that 930 save percentage in 31 games played, and he just drops down to an 888 in 10 games played. What is that about? Might have to trade for a goaltender. I'm not seeing anything like impressive for a backup goaltender in free agency, honestly. You know what? I'll just sign this guy because I like his name. Ludovic Lemonier. That's probably not how that's pronounced, but whatever. I'm signing him. And if it really comes down to it, we could just sign Ladislav Pinch, but he's not exactly what I would call NHL ready. He's only a 1-star ability, so I'd only do that as like a last resort kind of thing. And he's putting some great save percentages up there, so I'm not about to ruin his confidence, because I'm not about to throw him into a literal fire, being the Flames. Yeah, we just have to roll with it, I think. Unless we can find a goalie in a trade during the draft. Yeah, I think we could advance to the draft here. There's not much else to do, I don't think. I did have to sign a couple of new coaches. Mike Yeo is now our defensive coach, and I believe I got a new trainer on there as well, because our previous trainer and our previous defensive coach had retired. Yeah, Jeff Taylor retired, and as well as Ryan Huska. I think Ryan Huska was our defensive coach, right? Yeah, he must have been our defensive coach. Got that coaching defense at 19, defensive skills at 20. So unfortunate that we had to replace him, but how it goes sometimes. So with that being said, I think we'll advance to the draft lottery on July 5th. We're not going to make any more signings until we know what's happening with Jacques, and as well as with situation with Bernier and Elfring. Oh, 8.7. You're going from 6.8 to 8.7. I mean, he drives a good bargain. I think he will be worth that. I think he will be worth that, just based off what I'm seeing from not only his offensive numbers, but from his defensive numbers as well. So, all right, you drive a hard bargain, my man, but I'll do it. I will do it. I'll go up to $9 million for 3 years. I'm not going any higher than that, I don't think, but we'll see what he says after the draft lottery. So obviously we're not in it this time, but we'll see the results. So at number 16, you have St. Louis. 15, you have Minnesota. 14, you have Nashville. 13, you have Washington. 12, Anaheim. 11, Montreal. 10, San Jose. 9, Arizona. 8, Florida. 7, New York. 6, Chicago. 5, Vancouver. So Philadelphia moves up. 4, Columbus. 3, Toronto. 2, Carolina. 1, Philadelphia. All right, so we are at the draft now. So let's simulate up to pick number 6 at the very least. So first you have Brenton Powell going to the Philadelphia Flyers, 5-star potential. And the first 5 picks have passed. There's still a 4-star goaltender available in Denis Galitzin. There's also a 3.5-star center in John Weaver. Looks like his mental category is kind of low though. There is Kevin Russell. There is Dan Henderson. I'm liking the look of Dan Henderson actually. He's already a 2-star ability. 3-star potential. Yeah, I like his personality. His personality's good. So if I could trade up for Dan Henderson, that might be something I'd do. He's projected to be picked at 8, though, so that's, I don't know. That might be pushing it. Chicago, New York, and Florida. They are looking for right defense, Chicago is. So I'll throw in Bernier on there. I'll give them our own first-round pick. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I might just wait and see what happens. I'll see if he drops to, let's say, maybe Nashville's pick, because that might be a little easier to trade for. But I can't see any of those teams there wanting a trade like that. So I'll advance and hope that Dan Henderson is still available when it comes time to pick. I mean, we could always wait till our own pick at 21, but that's a little far for my liking. The most I'm going to wait until is like 14 at Nashville's pick. Because I think he's got to go by then, right? Like he's way too good to not go. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 10. Number 6, Byron Lane. Skylar Benedict, Brandon Scott. Number 9, John Weaver. Number 10, Kevin Russell. Okay, so this will work. Bernier, Hedl at 50% of his salary retained. The rights to Jimmy Delisle, a 3rd and a 7th for Montreal's first. That'll probably work. I mean, we saw how much money Hedl wanted, like 8.3 for 3 years. No, thank you, not doing that for a player his caliber. Alexei Bernier, you know, all the drama surrounding him and not wanting to resign in general. I think it's best to move him right here, right now. And if we get a first-round pick out of him and a player who is going to be NHL ready with it, nonetheless, then I think that'd be worth it, to be honest. 3rd and 7th, kind of inconsequential. So offer trade. Okay, I have to increase it a little. Maybe instead of a 7th, I'll give him like a 5th. Does that work? Nice. So Alexei Bernier, Tyler Peddle at half his salary. Jimmy Delisle, a 3rd and a 5th for Montreal's first-round pick. Finalized trade. There it is. So, yep, unfortunate we had to deal away Alexei Bernier, but do what you have to do to bring order back to the team. So let's take a look at the team harmony now. It's still disruptive hostility, but the conflicts have gone down only to Skylar Grieve and Jason Sheets. So by the time we get to the regular season, there shouldn't be, you know, too much of an issue. I'm hoping anyway. And I also hope that by doing that, Doug Elfring will be more willing to sign here. Doesn't look like it at the moment. You know, that's fine. We'll see how he feels about it at the start of the regular season, and then if not, then we'll revisit again at the trade deadline. And if not, then we'll have to seriously think about what we want to do with Elfring. I did not think this would happen, especially given he has got the homebody special ability. Like, what's the point of that special ability? Like, it says he doesn't like to change teams. He'll always be very easy for his current team to re-sign. At the moment, it's certainly not looking like that. Who knows? Maybe he just doesn't want to re-sign during the offseason. Maybe he'll change his mind over the course of the regular season. But now that we do have this pick, we can choose between Henderson. There's also Martin McCall. Looks very good offensively. He is a little prone to controversy, though. Don't like that about him. I might take him later if he's still there, but definitely not with this pick. Not with one that I traded to get. Andrew Goebel, the chippy side to his game. That's not necessarily a bad thing. He gets under the opponent's skin a little bit, as long as he's not dirty about it. Supposed to be picked at 12. Yeah, it could be a solid choice. I don't know if I'd take him over Henderson, though. I think I would take Henderson before him. But I'll definitely keep an eye on Goebel, just in case he does drop to our own pick at 21. And of course, there's also Galitzin, who's still available. Denis Galitzin, supposed to be picked at 21. We do have pick number 21, so if he's still there with that pick, we might have to consider him. But goaltenders in general are kind of a gamble when it comes to the draft. So I don't like to pick them too early if they're not like a world-class talent, you know? And especially with how goaltenders are in this game. Like, you could easily get by and be competitive and even go for a cup with like a 2.5-star goaltender as long as he simulates well. What? How is this guy ranked at number 17 and number 19? That shouldn't be possible. Unless there's a clone of him somewhere, then I'm pretty sure that's not possible. Hold up. Let's see. Is there a clone of him? Doesn't look like it. I'm not seeing one. That's very strange. That is the first time I've seen that. Not sure if that's a glitch or what. Definitely seems like it because I can't imagine that that's even possible. Yeah, that's a weird one. But yeah, I think the pick here with pick number 11 has to be Dan Henderson. He seems like he's already very good offensively, serviceable defensively as well. Hitting could be a bit higher, but not necessarily concerned about that. There's plenty of hitters on our team after all, and obviously it could always improve. Physical ratings are already pretty good. Mental ratings are, for the most part, decent. So there's really no reason not to take Dan Henderson here with this pick. So welcome to the Calgary Flames, Dan Henderson. All right, so what to do with Henderson? I think, honestly, he might just be ready to go. But would there be a spot for him on our roster? Honestly, I don't know. So for right now, I'm going to say no. I'm just going to leave him with his current team. But if not by the end of the offseason here, then it seems pretty likely he'll be signed by next season. All right, there it is. Emil Jacques has signed with your Calgary Flames for $9 million. You better be worth it, bud. That's quite a contract there. Making more than Wright and Elfring. So speaking of Elfring, I didn't think so. I didn't think he'd change his mind that quickly. I'm obviously going to make every effort possible to keep him on the roster. So I'm not going to be doing anything about that for right now. All right, good. Our team hostility, or our team harmony rather, has recovered quite a bit upon trading Alexei Bernier. So just got to wait for that conflict between Grieve and Sheets to hopefully roll over by the time we get to the regular season. And let's see if we're missing anything here. In goal, you got Debu, Walker, and Lemonier. All right, you know what? Let's take a look at the trade block, see if there's any goaltenders available, because we definitely do need a backup goaltender here. The Minnesota Wild have Stemkowski available. What did he do last year? And with the Iowa Wild, 909 save percentage. Yeah, I'll take a chance, as long as his contract's not ridiculous. Yeah, 1 year contract, 1.3. Sounds good to me. I will definitely try to trade for him. So it's a bit unfortunate we couldn't find a affordable backup goaltender in free agency that was also, NHL caliber. But I suppose this is the next best option here. So let's see what Minnesota wants for their guy. What if I just give them, they would literally just take the rights to Adam Walker. I would feel kind of bad about that. So let's give them a 6th as well. just to sweeten the deal a little bit. Honestly, this feels like a pretty realistic trade. When you consider the fact that Stemkowski is 26 and he still is yet to play an NHL game, I think this is pretty fair value for him, right? I mean, he's a 2.5-star ability, sure, but the fact that still hasn't even played in the NHL, that's why I'm not offering much for him. And it seems they'll accept this. So offer trade, and that should go through. On defense, we have Jacques, Muse, Sheets, Mooney, Byram, and Glockner. Hope Glockner gets a little bit more than just top 6 ice time this year. It'll probably be Byram and Mooney on the top 6, and then like Glockner with Sheets or Glockner with Muse on the top 4. And then we're also going to need a 7th defenseman. May as well be Mark Fast. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of his ratings, but I'll give him a chance. And then at forward, I believe this is 16. So yeah, honestly, I think we're looking good here in terms of depth. We're at 77 mil for cap. I don't exactly want to make a move right now for anyone in free agency, considering the situation with Elfring. I'm not saying we're trading Elfring. That is, believe me, that is the last thing I want to do. But I do want to have that cap space available just in case. And on top of that, we also have other guys to sign who might be asking for a raise, such as Glockner, who's going to be getting quite a raise, going from the entry-level deal to 3.8 for 4 years. And there it is. The Minnesota Wild have, apparently I simulated past the trade. And the simulation never stopped until the end of the month. So we had to resubmit the trade for Stemkowski. That is the first time that's happened. It usually stops when there's an offer or a trade response, right? That's a bit odd. But we do have the Hall of Fame inductions here. Let's see who's in. You have Jonathan Taves, Alex Pietrangelo, Drew Doughty, and Connor Hellebuck. What? Where's the complete trade option? It just says you have 14 days to complete or reject this trade. It just says discuss trade again. What? He accepted it. What is there to discuss again? I think this might be a time where I force trade because both sides clearly agreed to the trade, and yet for some reason I am not able to complete it. And it's on August 4th. It's August 5th right now. This trade should not have expired. You have 14 days to complete or reject the trade. It's been 1 day. Yeah, this might be a forced trade situation. Might have to make use of the good old commissioner mode. Yeah, I literally just submitted the trade again. I said offer trade. I submitted the exact same thing, and it did the exact same thing. Trade accepted. Discuss trade again. Go through. There it is. So your Calgary Flames have sent a 6th and Adam Walker to the Minnesota Wild for Vince Stemkowski. So we have our backup goaltender, send Lemonier down to the AHL. So a fairly low risk trade there. All right, so we're at the start of the preseason of year number 8. It's time to set our captains. Before I do that, let me just check. Okay, so he doesn't want to resign. This is great. This is gonna be fun. I really hope you resign, Elfring. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you to stay. So you know what? I don't care. You're getting captaincy. There you go, Doug Elfring, your newest captain of the Calgary Flames. And I think the alternates will be Pegamagabo, he's been clutch for us, and Byram. Nice veteran presence back there. All right, before we get started with the regular season, let's take a look at the team harmony. So the conflict between Grieve and Sheets is basically almost over now, and the team harmony is back to harmonious. Very nice. And let's take a look at the final roster. So in goal, you have Dubu and Stemkowski, and on defense, you have Jacques, Sheets, Muse, Mooney, Byram, Gluckner, and Fast. You got that 93 defensive grade on Jacques. And at forward, you have Antolovsky, Elfring, Pegamagabo, Coronado, Creech, Wright, Meehan, Fortman, Hedquist, Hinton, Igumenov, Grieve, Chivetti, Torka. I suppose we'll go through 1 month and get a preview of this season. And we are on November 1st. We've had a great start of the season, 7-1 so far. We're currently 3rd in our division behind Edmonton and LA. So going to be challenging once again in this division this year, as always. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wow. Pegamagabo, Wright, Muse, Jacques, Coronado, Fortman, they're all over a point per game. We've been going long enough as is, so I think we'll end things off here. And the next one, we will continue year number 8 with your Calgary Flames.